Mr. Banks, Abdul Haqq, Big Durk. Man, welcome, man. Welcome to LTO, License to Operate.
Yeah, this is our new podcast.
Okay.
We're here
That's
to.
the first time I heard the name of it.
You heard the phrase, right? You know what it means, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Well, according to the outreach program in A division, is something like you can go somewhere and be able to deal with the people in that neighborhood and be relaxed and at ease with dealing with them. They comfortable with talking to you that time. Is that what this is?
Yep, that's
Okay.
That's what we're talking.
that's what it is, and that's what
So when we here, we supposed to feel like you.
You got the license to operate.
Okay.
Only way you get on this couch is if you got the license to operate, my brother.
Okay.
In Chicago, and throughout, seemingly, you have had a very vibrant and respectable presence. Why do you think that is?
Well, if you're talking about from a street perspective, most guys, young and old, respect the way you carry yourself. Especially if you're a stand-up guy, you're a solid guy, you're strong, you hold your own, you go to prison, you don't be a rat, different things like that. You don't be messing with homosexuals, you don't be in there doing a bunch of foul stuff. So you come out with a good name is the same as you went in with. So guys respect that.
Yeah, well, you have quite a story. So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about what it was like growing up in Chicago for you?
Well, growing up in Chicago, like all inner cities, it's rough, it's tough. You got a lot of things going on there. You kind of adapt to your environment and try to make your way through that environment the best way you can, and through the streets, and especially Englewood, Gresham. It's a lot of things hustling going on there, a lot of things going on there, gang affiliations and different things like that. So you kind of find your way through that concrete jungle and find out really what, I guess we said, what beast you'll play, what role you'll play, who you'll turn out to be coming through them jungles, them streets like that. So
You were Englewood, Auburn, Gresham. That's where you grew up.
Englewood and Gresham,
Yeah, and that was in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
70s, 80s, and 90s.
70s, 80s, and 90s. Yeah.
So more 70s and 80s and beginning of the 90s.
Yeah.
I got locked up in 93, so had a few years in the 90s that, was the time.
Yeah, I know a little bit about you being locked up. We'll get to that in a minute, but talk a little bit more about coming up. I'm just interested in hearing a little bit more about, what was it really like as a kid? Like, what age were you when you started to gravitate towards the streets as opposed to, like, being at home and things like that?
Well, one of the things is coming up, like say you in the concrete jungle, so it's a time when you got to start making a decision based upon your family level of poverty. So the poorer you is, the more the younger African Americans gonna move towards the streets to start trying to make a way and trying to survive out there. And this is the type of thing, this is what I was confronted with, have a family out there being convicted, have a family out there that's doing real bad. So, you just start turning to the streets and start making a way to, start feeding and keeping the family together.
This is you grew up in a single parent home.
Yeah, my mother, yeah.
And how many siblings?
There's 10 of us.
So just for somebody to like wrap their mind around a child in an impoverished area with 9 other siblings and a single mom. And where were you at in the 10?
I'm the fourth.
The 4th. So you basically like in the middle of
Yeah,
the crew.
right.
So you can imagine just for once again for the audience to be able to wrap their mind around, okay, this is how this started.
Did you finish high school or did you?
Oh, yeah. They still right now, Paul Robeson do a reunion every year, I went to probably about 1 or 2 since I've been out.
What year did you graduate?
88.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you said you went into prison at 92, right? 1992? 93. So talk a little bit about what happened in those 5 years from 88 to 93, from the end of high school.
Right. So that's the time when a lot of stuff kind of, it was up in that high school era, that coming home that time and seeing all the furniture on the street. That's really what got it kicked off right there.
Your family was evicted?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So coming home, seeing that, I mean, you can imagine, you know, if you never had that experience, you can imagine, you know, coming home and.
Honestly, I can't imagine it, but it's
Yeah.
never happened to me, but I do know about it happening. And of course, your mother had 10 kids,
10
so some of
kids.
them must have been pretty young still, right?
Yeah, still holding babies, you know, she's still holding. And I think, the youngest, your little brother, yeah. So he was just about at that age right there, still in the toddler age bracket right there. So seeing all that and seeing her crying and seeing the whole little scene right there. So I think
That pushed that button for you.
right. So that kind of, because the older brother's locked up.
Your older brother was already locked up.
No, older brothers.
Oh, older brothers in the community, yeah.
No, my older
His
brother.
older brothers.
Oh, that's
locked
right.
up.
Okay.
All
I'm
his
fourth,
older
right? So
Yeah.
3 of them is already gone
Uh-huh.
in
Okay.
jail. So that leaves the responsibility of what's next on
So
me.
literally one after another was headed off to jail.
Yeah. So
For what kind of things?
You was asking about the environment I was raised in.
Yeah.
This is the environment you raised in. So
Yeah.
older brothers in the street already. You know.
Yeah.
Here you even gonna follow that trend. But I'm really, really trying to push school. You know, I'm really trying to not be a part of that trend right there. But it looked like it always pull you in.
Yeah.
One way or another. So
you end up going to after you graduated, you went to what, ITT?
DeVry.
DeVry.
Still trying to pull away, but
college.
DeVry Technical Institute.
Yeah.
What was you trying to study there?
Well, I went for electrician, electronics, you know, because I was into a lot of electronics. I liked electronics back then, you know, because as a kid, I used to open stuff up all the time and
just see how it works.
Yeah, see how it works. Or see, can I fix it? Because you
put it back together again.
Yeah, you go through the alley, you might see an old turntable or something like that. You know, y'all know what turntables got. If I ask a younger guy a turntable, he don't know.
I know what a turntable. I got one right upstairs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you see all this stuff out in the alley. So I used to try to grab it and try to see, can I fix it? So that's kind of what pushed me into DeVry.
And how long were you there?
With DeVry?
Yeah. I
stayed there about 2-3 years. I graduated from it.
You graduated from DeVry?
Yeah.
Okay.
So even though you was involved in the street, you still went to school?
Because that's always been a passion of mine. I love education. I love learning. You know, so I always that's something. So that's even with Chicago CRED. That's why, because I always like teaching. So that's one of the things. I always had a passion for teaching all the time. So wherever you see me at, I was always teaching a lesson or something. It's always a school with me. If you with me, even in prison, if you with me, it's always a school time. It ain't never we just not finna never kick the bobo. It might always be something that, you know, help one of us to, you know, figure some things out in life.
So jump ahead. You got involved, you stayed involved in the streets, and then you got caught up in something, right?
Yeah. The feds finally jumped in because I guess the locals figured that they couldn't get me.
They knew about who you were already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You were.
By then, you know, I'm kind of ranking in the gang, so, you know.
What gang was it?
The GDs.
The GDs, yeah.
So by then, I guess they said let the feds get them.
You did get convicted by the feds, right, and you were sent away for 26 years, right?
No, I was given a life sentence.
You were given a life sentence, and this was related to drug dealing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just share a little bit about the journey that led to then. You were not a Muslim at the time, right?
No, I went in just, you know, regular guy from the street, you know, on the same type of time I was on then, involved in the organization. And then, but once you go in there and they start saying life sentence, then some things start kind of, you got to figure some things out now.
Yeah, that's a scary word.
Right.
You
So
know-
you ain't going in there with the same attitude, like, oh, you think this gonna be fun and games? No, you got to start looking at things, start figuring a way up out of this, you know, and that's your main thing, is trying to figure a way out and stay mentally focused. You know, that's them the two things you got to do, because you can get lost up in there both mentally, you know, you start getting yourself involved in some things, and then you find yourself still with that life sentence 20-some years later, and you ain't did nothing to try to crack a book open and try to figure nothing out. So my first thing was, you know, get myself right with the Creator, God, and then start fighting my way up out of there through learning how the legal system works. So most guys in prison, that's what they come in and do, you know, start getting in the law library and trying to figure it out.
And you did, yeah. Got in the law library.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that you were sort of in the with Larry Hoover. You were serving with him, or you knew him through the GDs, or
Yeah.
He was an associate of yours, so
Yeah. So he was the one. I knew him personally, so you know.
I mentioned that only because he just got paroled from the federal system, although he's still facing time in the state system.
Yeah. So now the fight is with the state now.
Yeah.
And God willing, inshallah, God willing, that Governor Press order, the parole board will grant him some relief also. You know.
You was mentored in a sense by Larry Hoover, correct?
Right.
What did you learn from Larry Hoover? What did he teach you as far as even during the time in 1993? The reason why this space is important, and I asked you the question I asked you, because we're going to have listeners from different backgrounds. And what they've been told about Larry Hoover is that he's a monster. There's no way he should be free. He's a monster. He's responsible for the city of Chicago being in flames whenever it's being in flames. What's your position with that?
They don't know him. They don't know Larry Hoover. They just going off of everything everybody else going, something on social media or something somebody else did, and they want to equate that to him. But him as a person, they don't know him. Because when I just said I went to the DeVry, that I went to school, that was only because of him. He the one he pushed education in. He always gonna tell you go to school. He always gonna tell you to do things with your life and stay on the educational path. He love to hear that. When he hear that thing, he help push you on that. So no, it ain't nothing about go do this, go sell that, go out there and kill that. None of that. You know. I think in my mind when I was first getting to meet him, I thought there was gonna be some type of old sit down, all this old gangster talk, you know, and I'm looking like it ain't no gangster talk in him.
Do you remember your first conversation?
Yeah, that was one of the first conversations we had. He was just asking, what you doing with your life? Where you going? What you gonna be on from this point on, you know? So it was always trying to help you and guide you to something right, you know. He don't, and as the time, you know it ain't faking, because as the time go on, it's the same conversation. It's always the same. It ain't.
You keep coming back to it and asking you, what's up with it? What's up?
Right, what you doing?
Now, wasn't he already in jail at this time? So you would talk to him, you would visit him in jail or something like that? I see. Yeah. So, and where was he? He was in an Illinois prison at the time, right? Vienna. Oh, okay.
When you know what resonate with what you're saying, and this is a hot topic because of right now, what's going on, but what resonate with what you're saying is we had Billy Moore on the episode, and he said the exact same thing, right? He said the same thing, and so many other people that I personally talked to. I didn't come from that tribe or organization, but I've never heard someone say a different statement of his character, meaning nonviolence. Look, we not enemies. Let's start studying. Let's get into some kind of workforce development. So I'm just it's boggling to me when we deal with a society who has done so much wrong to so many different people be so punitive of a person based on an action that may have occurred 50 years ago.
Yeah. But then you look at the brother Tukey from California, you know, good brother. In there doing things, change his life, writing books, you know, children books, doing things like this. So they create him to be a monster. But then when you get to meet the man, you get to talk to the man, interact with the man, you see, no, this ain't his character. But the media always gonna paint you as a monster. That's what they do, you know. So,
Before you came home, you was somewhat of a horrible guy. They had to give you how many life sentences?
it only take one.
But how many did they? Was it just one?
Yeah, because Judge said he ain't finna do nothing like that. See, one thing I can say about our judge, he's saying, you know, I'm not finna get multiple life sentences. What, you gonna die and come back and die and come back and die? And, you know, I mean, you only need one, so you ain't got. You tell a person you got 5 life sentences. What kind of sense do that make?
So you got a life sentence. You served 26 years. So did you get them to change the sentence, or is that's
No,
kind of what they mean by life sentence?
No, life sentence means you dying there. The only way you coming out of there is in a box. So, but you know, like I said, you learn the law because every year I'm filing something, trying to figure something out, and then by the grace of God, you know, we finally figured a way up out of there, and we got granted some relief, and here I am on the show with y'all now. So
yeah, here you are.
You talking about 26 years in prison? How old were you at the time?
I was in my early 20s when I left.
So you talking about early 20s, being sentenced to life in prison, with the only way you come out of here is in a box. And you had killed somebody, right? You had to kill somebody for that.
That was just drugs.
It's a drug charge.
So a person can be sentenced. So you telling me a person can be sentenced to basically death in prison because of a nonviolent offense?
Nonviolent drug offense, because it's crack cocaine. Right. So they sentencing crack 100 times toward the powder. So if you got 1 gram of crack, you actually got 100 grams of powder.
Yeah.
So that was
because powder cocaine was popular among white people, but crack was popular among black people. So the sentences were a lot tougher on crack.
Yeah, the disparity between the two was very harsh and inhumane. And that's where a lot of, when they were sweeping up various organizations out there, they were locking up people, it was always, when you had crack, you was through.
But I've heard you talk about how, you know, you regret what you did, bringing all those drugs into the community, and that, you know, today the work you do is your way of, you know,
my form of redemption.
Yeah, your form of redemption. Talk a little bit about it. You know, how you arrived at that.
Because once you're in prison, you got time to do nothing but think. Right. Get yourself together, self-evaluation. So, like I said, the first thing I did was get myself together with God. And then I had to become a Muslim. Mm-hmm. And then from that point on, Islam was the best thing that happened to me, and it transformed me from the man I was to the man I am now. So it really gave me true manhood and the definition what a man is and what is my real purpose in life here. So once you get all those things embedded in you, then you become the type of, your eyes just come open. Then you look at the things you used to do and you be like, whoa, that was me. I did those things. Mm-hmm. I sold those drugs. I was a womanizer like this. I was doing this, you know, and you regret them things. So, and regret, strong regret is something you ain't gonna go back to.
Yeah, nothing you can do about it, right?
Right. So I'm really, I was such a clown back then that I wish I could have, you know, kicked my own self in the butt because of some of the things I did, especially with the neighborhoods and the people, and, you know, keeping, you know, people addicted to drugs by giving them the drugs, instead of trying to find ways to, find ways to help them, knowing that, you know, I come from a family, you know, mother strung out on drugs, so I should have been a little bit more.
Your mother was an abuser, drug abuser?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So knowing all them things right there should have kind of, well, but once your eyes come open, you kind of, from this point on, you start putting pieces together. So I just dedicated my life now to helping the young people out in the street with the work that I do with Chicago CRED. And it's a beautiful feeling when you change the person's life, help them to get straight now, put them on the right path. And
What do you think, like these guys that we all serve at CRED? And I know you're a life coach too. You said your title now is life coach and curriculum designer,
specialist.
it's curriculum specialist. But both of you have a lot of experience as life coaches. Like, what can we say to these young? What do you say to these young guys who you know are caught up in this life? I mean, we know that there's thousands of kids who are in the pipeline to keep going right into this thing, right? What can we say to them?
Your first thing that you want to evaluate the youngster that you probably talking to, and then see what may fit with him to get his attention. You want to get his attention so you can start feeding him the things that he needs to know to start making better choices in life. So it's just about getting to know him first, interacting with. So mentorship is big and it should be a point. But as life coach, that's what we try to do. We try to mentor them to try to get them some understanding. And once we start building a relationship with them, then we can start directing because they'll start listening now. And you do that from the experience that we have from being in prison, being in the street, doing the things that we do. So all these things that you try to think was, something that you can glorify, we try and tell you, no, this ain't nothing to glorify right here. Because the things that we had to do, suffer, being in jail with a life sentence, losing your family while you there, all these things, right? You don't want to go through that right there. So that's one of the things.
And do the young people have to be in a certain receptivity state of mind before they can hear it, or you feel like you can get to all of them if you just build some trust?
And that's what yes, because that's what you want to do. This generation here,
yeah,
you got to build a little, because this generation here is something special. So
they get a lot of stuff coming at them. I mean, they see a million images that we didn't see when we were growing up. Maybe you saw. Well, you probably saw plenty of things. Not certainly things I didn't see, but still, the younger ones today seem to have just an endless access to violence, to anything they want to. They can see anything online, and.
And this help keep them in the state that they're in. It's only feeding that negative mind state, and it's another fight that we got to, another part that we got to fight against now. We got to fight against social media, and everybody think that social media is the outlet for their fame for some reason. Everybody want to get points on social media for some reason. And that's scary because, like, from back in our days, you would never catch us on social media. Man, we hide from cameras and everything. Everything else. You don't even want to be in a picture with certain people. So that's less known being on social media with some showing guns, doing this, shooting up. So all these things here.
When we just to bring it back to your son, D thing, man. I know that part of your life. I know him being a part of your life, and then him um, returning to God, passing away. That affected you deeply because I know the relationship that you guys had, man. How you dealing with that, the loss?
A parent can't never. We just go day by day, and because it's always something in you that always haunts you, and it's always something in you make you feel like, did I do all I can? So these things here is always give you that time right there to try. It ain't nothing you can really. You just pray every day for strength, and make it through another day, another day, another day, another day. But you constantly gonna think about your child all the time, about what he be doing now. And then when they leave kids behind, you know, it makes it even more harder because the children missing their father, and you missing your child. So it kind of,
That's a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, it's a few years ago.
Yeah.
Do you transitioning from or going from the death of D thing and then having this big event, right? With the Muslims coming together in Chicago, your son, Lil Durk putting on this big event. Because I remember him posting on social media that he wanted to bring all the Muslims together in Chicago and pray for a prayer. And then that actually happened. Um, what right after that, not soon after that, not long after that, he was actually arrested. How long was from the prayer to him being arrested? How long was that?
I think a week or so, maybe a week, almost 2 weeks, somewhere up in there. So,
Yeah. So fill us in right now on Little Dirk, how things are going there. Talk a little bit about just what it was like to see him succeed the way he did. You know, I mean, you were still serving time, but he was coming up, and then
I really, and I tell people this all the time, I really didn't take the rap thing serious.
yeah,
Until it was only when I got out it's actually kind of went that direction. But in prison, I didn't know too much about even though he had songs and different things like that out right there. I still didn't, because like I tell everybody wanted, every child, especially in the African American neighborhood, want to be some sport, some rapper, is always in that
right,
phase. So I'll be like, okay, I'm more of a, go to school, pick up a trade, I'm that type of parent.
right.
So you say you want to be a rapper, okay, yeah, all right. Everybody want to be a rapper. And
Get a
that's
backup
it.
plan, right?
You're like, what you gonna do? Go to school for what you like doing. So get you a trade up under your belt so you can have something to fall back on just in case the rap thing don't work out.
Yeah, right.
So, but then, like I said, it was it was ironic because I was in when I got the life sentence off, I was in um, California in Victorville. So it was in Victorville when I first know that this was serious.
Oh, you were serving in a California prison
Yeah,
in
ain't
Victorville.
that something? He in California now. So, but I was saying is I'm in Victorville, right, in
Yeah.
California, and he tell me, say, "Hey, I'm gonna be on. I don't know, y'all remember BET with
Mm-hmm.
Free and what was the other dude? Free and
The host?
yeah,
I forget.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So they the one that was doing it. He said, "I'm gonna be on BET." So I said, "BET." Wait a minute, you might be doing something now. And that's when I kind of started looking at it at that time, right?
Realizing that something's cooking here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when I seen him on BET, I was like, okay, he got a little talent here.
And he's been hugely successful, right?
Yeah. But I really asked his brother about his talent also, because he kept pushing the thing. And I said, can he really do it? He said, yeah, he good. But then the BET thing come in, so it kind of confirmed it.
When you seen your son as the rise was going, him making a rise and a transition from like kind of like just being talk because I remember having this talk with you early when you first started working with me, and I was telling you, I said, "Nah, Chief Keef bigger than," and you said you told me, "Nah, just watch," like you like just wait a minute, some things is happening, and I think Chief Keef is still at his stardom, but I think Dirk has gotten like he's up in that space at that time. He just wasn't in that same. He was there, but I feel like you know there is there can be a debate back and forth. You know who's been more influential. I think both of them been great successes in Chicago, but as far as this generation, I don't think it's anybody else that can say they've been musically have touched that many people through outside of Chicago and throughout Chicago, other than those two names. Um, I only speak to that because I think that what your son is going through right now, do you think him being tied to the music and his faith, do you think that has any validity to what's happening at all? The music and his faith, is that connected to what's transpiring? Like what's do you think it's a target on? Do you think it's a like why do you think this is happening right now?
Well, one of the things I can say, I'm not a big on conspiracy theories. I try to stay away from that because as a Muslim, Allah controls all things. We definitely look into things when they seem strange, though. To try to find out is there some other negative motivation behind it. So when you look at this, in his case, you see that there was indictment go down, right? So he's not on the first indictment. So that tell you automatically you ain't got enough evidence to go to grand jury to even do nothing. So then now that you see he going to Dubai and you thinking there's something funny with this, so now you want to go trump up some little stuff and then bring him in on it, and all this behind everything they're trying to do a movement in the industry that's built itself on negative talk. And now you ain't talking that way no more. You ain't doing these things no more. Now you're trying to pull people together, different things like that. Then what we got here? That's even with let's go back to the Larry Hoover thing. Let's go back to that. As long as he doing, as long as they saying it's gangs, it's drugs, it's gang violence, it's cool. As soon as he get into politics, oh no, it's time to wait. Something wrong here.
Is that what happened with Hoover?
Yeah, as soon as he started talking politics and started forming the young guys into 21st century vote, and y'all get out there now and y'all go march down there on City Hall. Oh no, because we can keep an eye on you then, but when you start talking about politics and you got the power to move people in and out of office, then that's the issue. So now you start talking about unifying Muslims. Islam is a fast growing religion in Chicago, especially amongst the inner city. So now this is a problem here. So
you think people are afraid of Islam?
People always been afraid of Islam because Islam is a religion that it discipline a person. It give you that type of discipline where you stand strong up on your faith over everything else. So there's no compromising with Islam. A lot of things you can see compromise, but we ain't into compromise when it comes to the creator, because he the one that created everything. So how can you compromise someone who gave you what you got in life? So,
We were talking to Sadiq Ali here last night, and he was talking about how a bunch of guys converted on O Block, and the shootings have pretty much stopped there because of that. So, do you think Islam is like something that can help with our goal of reducing gun violence? You think so?
That's one of the main things. Person need the creator in their life in order to make these true, strong convictions in life. It's one thing, even when you see, I never been a abuser of drugs or alcohol. I ain't never even did none. I'll tell you the truth. But I have sat in AA just to, I wanted to see what was going on. One of the criteria they tell you and push you towards is a belief in God, because that's stronger conviction that you'll stay away from this right here. So let's use that now. So we pushing some, but we need God to be a part of it in order to make sure that strong conviction. You can say, hey, I'm changed. I can say I can change way before I became a Muslim, but I ain't got nothing that really strong in me to help push that. So, but when I became a Muslim, say I'm changing, I don't want to sell drugs no more. I don't want gangbang no more. Then, hey, now it's more stronger within me with that type of, with the conviction that God, he's the creator. He sees all things as opposed to you limiting your sight. I can fool you, but I can't fool him. So it's that type of thing, seeing that all, knowing that he sees and hears and knows all things. So I can't get away from certain things.
Well, you know the rumor is it's on so throughout social media. What you like recruiting? You recruiting guys to become Muslim? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, that's the best recruit, man. I take that label. Give me that label right there. Yes, I'm always trying to recruit. Out of all y'all in here, hopefully we get a shahada up out of this.
Oh yeah, think you might be able to get one of us?
Convert into Islam, you know.
You know they. And we talked about this before. So it's some, as of lately, it's some negative comments about the pushing peace movement, the Muslim trend thing happening, and but the violence is decreased. It's not at a stop. Do you think the the Muslim and Islam uh, conversioning happening in Chicago has anything to do with the decrease of violence?
Becoming a Muslim decreases violence.
There's a major decrease in violence. Do you have any thoughts as far as, is there a connection between the decrease in violence and the uptick of amount of people in Chicago becoming Muslim?
I'm gonna say this. In Islam, we say Alhamdulillah. That means all praise be to the Creator, God. And we say that because if anything good happen, we praise God for it. Okay? So if there's a decrease in violence, we say Alhamdulillah. He controls that, The amount of Muslim coming into Islam, yes, that's telling you that he converting it, because the only body that can make a Muslim is God. So once he convert them, he converting them for a reason. And the reason is the push that, hey, you once was a person who had that gun and want to go out there and shoot someone. But now, after Islam, one of the most principle in Islam that we find life to be sacred. So it ain't no more killing nothing. Not even to the point where if I seen, when I'm cleaning my garage out, if I see some little bug or something, I sweep them up and then go put them in the grass. I don't, this
You
is
don't kill them.
right.
You don't step on them.
Right. We ain't gonna step on them because all life is sacred to us, even to the smallest of that little bug.
Now, gun violence has been a problem in Chicago for at least 60 years. I mentioned last night that we haven't had under 400 homicides since 1965. 70s and the 90s were both high points. Why do you think the Islam thing is happening now more so? And I mentioned, obviously we used to have still have the Nation of Islam. It was a different kind of wing of the movement, but still in all. Why is it picking up now?
Because young people is searching for something to hold on, something with substance to it. And Islam giving them that. Even when I was lost and I'm trying to find something to hold on to. Give me something to give me some internal peace, some contentment, something that my soul is asking for something. You hungry. And out of all the things, and I'm in prison and I'm going to all the religious groups, I'm trying to find something to hold on to. Islam was the only religion I didn't look into like I was looking to all the other religions. In prison, especially when you go in the chapel area, you got many different religions that practice in there.
Yeah.
So everybody got a slot in the time to come in and do their worship.
Baptists come in at some point, and then
Jehovah Witness, even American Native Americans come in there. Everybody got their time slot to come in there and worship at the time. So I stay in there and I look into what they doing.
Oh, you stayed for all of them and check them all out.
Check them all out.
Yeah.
But the Muslims, I was like, because they were serious.
Yeah.
So when you say serious, you can get away with a few things in these other religions. You can let your hair down a little bit, but Islam, they were serious. They was on point.
Well, we should probably wrap it up, but really appreciate the conversation. We could go on and on talking about this stuff. This is the work you do, the work Ali does, the work that so many people are doing, and something's going right because the numbers are really, really going in the right direction. So,
right now, Peter, can you tell us right now how many? What's the toll as far as lives lost in the city of Chicago right now?
This year, Year to date, we're about 150 homicides and about I don't know, maybe 500-600 shootings.
So we at month. This is so we at
End of
month.
May, 5 months in, we're
Yeah,
about
5 months
150, and that's down about 25%. So we would have been probably 200 last year at this time. So yeah, I mean,
the goal is to get the goal is to stay away from any, but we want to get to where it's no senseless murders, but right now, being under, you say 500 murders.
the mayor's goal is to get under 500 this year, and we were at 575 last year, total year.
And Chicago hasn't been under 500
Under
murders.
400 since 1965.
Under 400 since 1965.
So it's been a really long time since that's still way too high.
Yeah, I mean, you set a goal to get up under 500 murders.
400.
We still have more murders than any other city in the country.
Before we leave, I wanted to add, because I got a question that I want you to clear. Go ahead.
I want to say this. 2 things. Now, we just talked about Islam, so we push and continue to push youngsters out there to get a relationship with the Creator and become Muslims if this what their heart is moved towards. But another thing that we're doing now is in Chicago CRED, we pushing very heavy non-aggression.
Yep.
So this is the pinnacle right now. This right now is the cornerstone. This is right now is like the pillar of what we pushing both in CRED and in the street. So getting to that number is foreseeable up on the non-aggression.
Yeah, I think it's possible too. We're
gonna push that agenda of non-aggression and teaching these young guys to agree to non-aggression. And agreeing to non-aggression is saying, I'm not gonna slide, there go peace. I'm not gonna trespass, that being out of bounds in someone else's neighborhood, there go peace. That I'm not gonna be trolling on the internet, there go peace. That I'm not gonna backdoor my people, there go peace. Being amongst Chicago CRED and fulfilling this, saying that everybody gets a pass for me because Chicago CRED and everything we do is a safe haven for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, I'm not going to be around people with this negative, aggressive body language. That go peace. So when we push these 6 principles out there and people agree to them and these neighborhoods agree to them, then we can bring that all the way down because everybody going to stay in their neighborhood. Right. And we want to develop the peace that we're looking for.
Peace leads to peace leads to peace, right? Yeah. More peace gets more peace. Yep.
You plan to go into different neighborhoods throughout and talk to some of the people in the neighborhood just about the non-aggression agreements.
Right.
Is that, you want to speak on that?
So that's what trying to get that number down this summer. We already trying to get in the front of it. So we're going to take non-aggression out into the neighborhoods. We got it inside the buildings and our hub sites in Chicago CRED, but now we're going to go out there because everybody ain't a part of Chicago CRED in them neighborhoods. So if we go out there, talk to them, tell them what the ones that's inside the Chicago CRED is practicing, and can we join on? Can you join on with them in order to promote this? So we looking to go out there, do what right here, do some little podcasts and put them out there, let them know, give us a verbal agreement out there, and hopefully this will be a thing that we can start seeing a change. We want a summer that's even less than that 500 because I think the 500 is too high.
Way too high. Too high, but it's lower than it was this year.
I think we can get under 400.
Amen. All right, we're gonna take a quick picture, and then thank you very much for your time.
Hey, I appreciate y'all because most interviews I be on is always about my son. But